Today's show is brought to you by brewtag.com. BRAUTAG, the new Brewtag Premium Brewing System, is a high-quality Herm system developed by yours truly to take your brewing to the next level. And by yours truly, I mean Todd and James. The Brewtag consists of 3 premium stainless steel 20-gallon kettles, perfect for brewing 15-gallon batches, and each comes equipped with durable ball valves and easy-to-use stainless steel quick connects. The Brewtag controller is an innovative, no-nonsense controller developed to make your brew day better. It's easy to understand, which makes it easier for you to fully control the brewing process. Dial in your temperatures with ease and control the entire process at the flick of a switch or the push of a button. The Brewtag also comes with 2 premium centrifugal pumps and all the necessary cables conveniently labeled just for you. Go to brewtag.com and learn more about our special introductory offer, which includes $500 off MSRP, free shipping, and a ton of free add-ons, such as a 15-gallon recipe kit of your choice, 3 packs of liquid Imperial Yeast, a premium refractometer, pH meter and testing kit, a 1-year membership to Brewer's Friend Premium, Sandstep Sanitizer, Brew Clean, and more. Head over to brewtag.com to find a list of our retail partners and let us help make your brew day better.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
DIY false bottom, fruity notes in my kolsch, deodorizing brew day smells, and insulating beer lines in a tower installation. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 239. Hello and welcome to the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. If you have a question you would like us to discuss on a future episode, you can go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or now you can call or text them in by using 325-305-6107. I am your host, Joshua Stubing. Today I'm joined by the Director of Operations at cmbecker.com, Mr. James Carlson, as well as the President and Chief Keg Washer of kegconnection.com, Mr. Todd Burns. Gentlemen, welcome back to another episode.
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Yeah.
Me too.
I'm going to go back to asking, and then you're going to be like, why do you always ask how I'm doing? I hate it. I hate how you ask me. And people, I thought we were going to get more feedback about that, but lately all the feedback has been about how I'm butchering the pronunciation of stuff. So, and I'll have that not on this week. The feedback for this week we'll have is actually in reference to testing those unknown hops like we talked about last week, kind of reinforcing what you had said, and we'll get to that. But yeah, it's always fun when, like, my inbox, I actually enjoy it. People sometimes don't know when I'm joking, when I'm not. When we butcher something or how to pronounce something, correct us. Todd especially loves it. I'm not even kidding when I say that. Todd likes being, he genuinely likes being corrected if he is grammatically incorrect or isn't pronouncing something correctly. He enjoys it. Me, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, anytime I make a grammatical error on the show, you're welcome to email me and tell me about it. That way I'll learn.
That way I'll learn. Yeah. He's not. I'm laughing just because he's kind of being the smart aleck, because he knows sometimes it gets under my skin because I dropped out of college as an English major, and so he's like, "Oh, you didn't know that was the right way to write it, did you?" Ooh. And I was like, "Yeah, I dropped out. I didn't finish. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't get the proof that I knew how to speak, and I didn't speak English too good. It's hard, but anyways." Welcome, people, to the Homebrew Happy Hour. And this week's small talk, the gist of it, we'll start off with Trub Club information. This month's recipe kits for July, you can get the delicious Hopfellas IPA, which goes out with the Bartleby Kvike. You're welcome, everyone who wrote me how to say that word. Or the American Amble Amber Ale, which ships out with Imperial Flagship. I'm told the Bartleby is a fantastic strain, and I'm told that by Imperial, they might be a little biased, but they've never steered us wrong before, guys. Imperial, when they send us new strains or information on strains, they're pretty straightforward with like, hey, this strain is good for this. Here's what you should expect to get out of it. And then when you brew with it, you're like, they were dead on. Okay. I thought but so the Bartleby I'm excited about. A lot of people in our Trub Club who have responded with what recipe they want have chosen that. And I think it's for that Bartleby. So Todd, you had mentioned you were going to brew a Hopfellas or a batch of it. Have you gotten to that yet, or is that still in the plans?
Oh no, I'm not brewing it all right now. I'm working on this big project at home, and I've got every single space in my 6 Keyser and now my 3 kegerator full. So I think right now, I think I have 12 kegs in the cold right now. So yeah.
Well, then I say we have to. You can always brew that Hopfellas with the Bartleby whenever you want, but I don't know how.
No, I'm going to. I'm gonna try to brew as soon as I can. I just can't brew right now.
James, do you have a brew day planned at all for up there at headquarters? Because you haven't brewed since we did the test batches, correct?
Yeah, I did 5 batches.
To be fair, did you do any, Josh? I can't remember.
I did 1, you jerk.
Yep.
Okay, so you did 4, James, because all the rest of us did 1.
No, James did that 1 at your house though.
Yeah, I did 1 at your house,
and then 4 at the office.
Yeah.
You did? Because I thought I did 1 by myself.
No, sir.
Nope. No, sir.
Yeah,
okay.
It was because it was the same day that I forgot it was the day after I forgot the grains.
Oh, I remember us brewing 1 here. I just didn't. I thought I'd brewed another one. That must have been something else.
Joe,
nope.
I did 1 solo.
Joe did the first batch.
Correct.
Josh did the second one. I did another one that day, and then I did 4 here.
Yeah. And they all turned out pretty good. And it's amazing, though, how different they did turn out, which we'll discuss in a future time when we have them all side by side in glasses. But I know.
So last night, I force carbonated all of them, organized all of them, got all of them lined up in the Keyser and 1 in the kegerator because I don't have enough room in my Keyser for all 7. And they are, I have enough room. I don't have enough faucets on the front. They are all ready to go. And I was, after we're done with this, I was actually going to put the labels on the wall. So we'll be ready to go. The only thing I need tonight, when are you getting here?
I'm picking up. So yeah, that's part of small
talk. You can just answer.
Well, I'm trying to think.
I don't have to have the whole story.
God, I hate you. It'll probably be 9 p.m. when we roll.
Oh, I was going to say, because the only thing I need to tweak maybe is the carbonation level.
Yeah, we can't. Well, we're not filming tonight. We can film this week while I'm up there, or we can wait till the next trip. It's up to you.
No, we said that's the reason I got it already. You said we were filming this week.
Oh, yeah, right. I didn't know we were filming this part. We are getting a lot of stuff on film this week. Like, you know what? We could kill 2
No, I'm talking about the 7 beers.
Oh, I don't remember.
You said last week we were definitely doing it this week. That's why I got it already.
I say a lot of things. If you got it already, that's perfect. James, do you have the availability to film tomorrow? So we can, okay.
Yeah, Emily's working Thursday, so I can stay later.
Perfect. See? So okay, Todd. We'll film tomorrow.
I always want to put it off, don't you?
I don't want to put it off. I just didn't know that it was actually ready. I want to put off drinking beer. That sounds terrible. Although my blood pressure's through the roof lately. I should probably put off drinking for a little while. But
beer lowers your blood pressure.
That's right. Yeah.
Everybody knows that.
All I need to do is just substitute a meal or two and fast, and then I'll be okay. I'm young. I'm gonna live forever or something. I don't want to make any $5 bets though about that because I've been on a bad run of $5 bets the last decade. But anyways, yes, the Trub Club. You can learn more information by going to homebrewhappyhour.com/club or join directly right now at patreon.com/Homebrew Happy Hour. We had some server issues this morning on Homebrew Happy Hour as I've been trying to get stuff prepared for having it all hosted on our own platform. And like I've said, probably the last 6 episodes, that's been so much fun. So Let's move on in small talk. Like, oh, Todd already said, yeah, I'm coming up. I'm bringing my kids up. I hope you're ready for them, Todd. We're going to put them to work.
My wife is ready for them, yes.
I told them we're putting them to work either at Kekenetchen or CM Becker, James. So if you want child labor for a couple days, they're not very, they take after me in that area. So we might have to train them.
Oh, you beat me too.
I knew what you were going to do when I talked about child labor with my children. No, they're hanging out at the ranch.
Well, I don't really. Kids are cool and all, but are you bringing Murray? That's what I want to know.
No, he's not, because I'm picking up your nephew. I'm not going to have room for that. And your nephew's bringing a cat. Your brother called me. He's like, hey, when you pick up Simon, do you have room for his cat?
It's funny because you use the same voice for me, but that actually sounds like my brother.
That didn't it? Like, hey, Josh, and your brother one time I don't know where he got in his head I was Jewish, and so that's the inside joke now forevermore. So like, hey, Josh, my Jewish friend, Mazel Tov. When you pick up Simon, it's the best. Your brother, he's like a funnier version of you. I think of that's the nicer way to say it. Does he watch the show? He doesn't watch the show, right?
No.
Oh, okay. He's like a more annoying version of you. It's fantastic. It's kind of funny. It's hilarious. But anyway, I actually enjoy your brother a lot. I was hoping he'd be up there, but he called me to pick up his son to bring up there. So I guess we don't get to hang out with him.
And that's really why he's coming. My dad really is going to work Simon the entire week.
I'm looking for. I think we should. I would love to, not for this show, but interview Simon the week after your dad puts him to work like that. Like I would do an exit interview when the week after your dad put me to work, and I'd just say it was worse than any gulag could probably ever be, and I'm lucky to have escaped.
You think, James, you think we could afford just to pay Josh a salary for a week and have him work for my dad the whole week? I would get so much enjoyment out of that.
Yeah.
We'll
he'd do that once, right?
Yeah. Oh, I've seen the work ethic your pop has. It's hardcore. He's a different kind of man. I always say their generation's the best in work ethic, and he's the best of that generation in regards to we were laying grass down, and he's out there in the heat of the day trying to do it himself. No care in the world. I was like, oh, my heart rate's a little high. I need some water. And your dad's like, I haven't had water in 3 days. And he's a man. Anyway, though, that's it for our small talk. Before we get into the questions, I do have some listener feedback. So with that, it's time for listener feedback. And this week's listener feedback comes from our buddy Kurt, who, he actually emailed me he left a comment on youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. We do take comments in our YouTube as well. And Kurt can verify in his comment on that video from last week's episode, he got his $25 gift card. Some people think I just say you get a gift card and then I don't actually hand them out. Kurt, you can go on there and confirm, I got my gift card, because I want people to know I love giving Todd's money away. It's not a shtick. But anyways, his feedback. To test the unknown hops, I'd use the hop sampler recipe that another podcast does. And he's talking about Basic Brewing Radio, which is a great show. They've been around forever. 1 pound of light DME and 3 cups of water, bring to a boil, remove from heat, and add half an ounce of the hops. Let it stand for 30 minutes. Add a little bit of USO5, which is the dry yeast from Safale, and ferment out in a 1 gallon container. It's quick and inexpensive to determine if the hops are worth saving. That's great feedback. That's kind of like the hop tea thing you were talking about, James, where he said quick and easy, or quick and inexpensive. It is inexpensive. Quick. As a lazy man, Kurt, I don't know if quick is the way I describe that, but if it's a substantial amount of hops, it might be worth testing for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great idea, and it's a good thing to do. I don't know if I would go that extreme.
I know what you mean, not extreme. I know what you mean. Like for you, it's like, maybe it's just not worth it for me.
I don't know if a farmer gave you fresh hops, and maybe I don't know, but that's a great idea, and that's a great way of testing. You can do it both with the bittering, or you can do it with aroma. Either way, depending on how long you boil the hops.
Right. Yeah. I was just saying, and we got a handful of feedback on that. So a lot of people are doing it, and a lot of people are like me, frugally minded, where they're like, man, I just don't have the heart to not put these to use somehow. To where it's like, not to sound bougie or like we can afford it as much as just like, man, sometimes it could be trouble, and my palate's not good enough to always like pinpoint, or like from the smell first off, but then doing the testing and all that, I'd probably be like, I'll just get, I'm brewing whatever, gonna get a pouch of or an ounce of this hops that I know what it is and just brew my batch. So, Todd, you have a look on your face. You about to call me lazy? What are you about to do?
Oh, no. Okay. I was just listening.
Yeah. I had it on group scene, man. Everyone saw your face. Anyways, but Kurt, thank you so much for submitting that. And again, much like we do with the questions, if you submit feedback that we take on a future episode, I do give you a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. With that out of the way, let's get to our 4 questions for this week's show, starting with our first question from our buddy Zane, who used the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com. Zane wrote, kudos to you guys for showing me the ways of kegging. Just started kegging and I'm never going back. I'm mini mashing right now with plans to go all grain. The pot I'm using for my MT, which is for mash tun, is plenty big for 5 gallons. I will only need a false bottom. Still new enough to this, so I don't know if false bottoms come in different sizes or if I need to make my own. If I do try to make my own, what's the top goal for the false bottom? I know liquid needs to get through, and it's okay if some grains get through too, yeah? I don't care about fabricating my own gear unless better gear already exists. Please advise Z. I'm the wrong guy to ask about DIY because I'm the king of, is there a solution I can pay for? Here's my money. James, you're the MacGyver of homebrewing. Yeah. What would you suggest to this guy? He already has a pot he wants to use for his mash tun. What should he do for turning it in, fully converting it to a mash tun?
Well, it just needs a false bottom. I think a 12-inch should fit in the bottom of that. So a lot of homebrew supply stores sell 12-inch false bottom, and it has a fitting that goes through the center. The only thing he'd need to do is get a valve and drill a hole at the bottom of that kettle so that he can draw the liquid out. Or
the side, right?
Yep. Yeah, the side.
Yeah, he meant
I meant the side. The bottom of the side.
He meant the bottom.
Okay, so you drill a hole at the very bottom of the side of the kettle so the liquid is below the false bottom, so you can get it out. But the better thing to do is if you wanted to go really cheap, you could just do brew in a bag.
Ah, that's a great point. You're right.
And then you just pull it out of because it's a 5-gallon batch, you're only talking about maybe 10, 12 pounds of grain.
Right.
So you could just throw the bag in there, do your mashing, and then you could have extra water on the side, and then you could heat that up, rinse your bag as you're pulling it out, and then you're all grain.
Yep. And you still want that valve. You still want to drill that ball valve for ease of transfer, right? I guess you wouldn't have to.
Yeah, because you wouldn't have to. You could siphon it out just like you would with an extract, but it'd sure be a lot nicer to have a valve at the bottom.
And it's easy. You just use a hole saw. You want to use a hole saw for sure, and just drill it. And then we've got the self-sealing ones that you just it's put on there, so it's pretty easy to do.
Well, Todd, you also made a video when you were carrying those Amstel kegs, and you actually have a video on installing a ball valve on that, which is a universal kind of video because it's not unique to just that brand of kettle. The way you installed it is how you would install it on any kettle, right?
I don't remember making a video of that at all. That's
hilarious.
I'll have to watch that sometime.
You don't remember?
Yeah, it's had
yeah. Well, the Amstel kettle overview has a lot of views. The installing one, not as many, but it's there. If you typed in Amstel installing ball valve or installing ball valve on Amstel, there's Todd's face, or no, it's your arms, I think, in the thumbnail. That's hilarious. We did it in your office, and I think we recorded it on my cell phone because I didn't bring any video gear at the time, and you were like, you didn't bring in your gear? And ever since then, I bring every piece of production gear I own on every trip, so I don't ever forget. Yeah, see, look.
I can't even remember how to spell Amstel. AMCY
L. Yep. There he is with his flowery shirt and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to look down to see if it was the same shirt I had. Oh, look, how to install a weldless ball valve. Todd Burns. I'll be down.
Oh, well, that's hilarious. Don't
Yeah.
Oh, now I've got sound on. Sorry. I can't get it off. We're going to have to listen to it the rest of the podcast.
No, we can't hear it from our end. You're good.
Oh, you can't?
No,
Good.
thank
'Cause
God.
I can't turn it off.
Because I can't. Yeah, we're gonna have a spin-off podcast called Todd Works Technology.
I hate it when it throws something up and doesn't and completely gets rid of your top deal, and you're trying to right click on it to get the little X to come up, and it won't come up.
Yeah, imagine
you can do it very easily unless your speakers are screaming out while you're doing a podcast.
Todd is like 11-year-old me when my parents got home unexpectedly. Oh, X out! How do I X out? Oh.
just push F11, it'll come back.
Yeah. See, trust me, I've since 11-year-old Joshua existed, I know how to get rid of Windows and clear browser history. Anyway, you know what? I didn't even think when I was reading the question and putting it in the show, James. I didn't even think about brewing a bag. That would be, like you said, the most straightforward way if he wanted to do all grain brewing using the equipment he already has and not have to do a whole lot of extra or spend a whole lot of extra money. And there are a lot of people, specifically in our community, who swear by brewing a bag. And that's all they do. And they have no desire. They like the quantity they get out of it, which is like 5-gallon batches. And a 5-gallon batch, like you said, what's on the high end of the grain bill? 15 pounds?
10 to 12 pounds.
Yeah, so let's say 12 pounds. Lifting it is, you could do an all grain brewing a bad brew day by yourself, is what I was getting at.
Yeah, it'll be hydrated, so it'll be a little heavier, but still it'd be manageable.
Right.
I know years ago when we were doing test batches for Big Bertha, I had an old Gott water cooler, and I went to Austin to a homebrew store there, and they had a 12-inch false bottom, or 10, maybe this was 10, and it had the hoses and everything, and I got it. And while I was there, I bought a bag big enough for the grains, because I thought I was new to it, and I thought I'd just put the grains in that bag, put the bag in the mash tun, and then it'll catch the fine stuff. And then when I get ready, all I have to do is pull it out, and I can dump it. I don't have to worry about, I can sparge easier and all that. So, after a while, I just took the false bottom out of the bottom and just used the bag because it was easier to do.
And a lot of people swear by it because of the ease, like during cleaning. It keeps the amount of vessels you're getting dirty down, and the cleaning is pretty minimal because the grains are kept in that bag. And I know a lot of companies make reusable bags, so that helps even more in regards to frugality. Like making your
this was one of the
stretch.
reusable. I had the drawstring at the top, and I think at the time, this was 2010, and it was $5-6 for the bag big enough to fill that cooler.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And like I said, that I didn't even think about it, but that makes total sense. But Zane, if you are intent on, no, I want to do it like more traditional is probably not the right way, but more with the false bottom, I'm going to transfer it out that way, yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. And you need assistance. You can always call Joe at Homebrew Supply, or any of Todd or James. I'll just say any of us, but call Todd or James, because I'm not as big a help. But you can, if you give them the dimensions, like get the dimensions of your kettle, and they'll absolutely be able to outfit you with the appropriate sized false bottom, because there are solutions. To get to that part of his question, Cold Break is a very popular brand, I believe, of solution. There's, oh gosh, I'm trying to think of other brands off the top of my head. There are
you gotta do is just Google.
Yeah, and homebrewsupply.com, keckernetchen.com, a lot of online retailers carry pre-existing solutions. You just have to select what's the
they keep the 12-inch in stock. Homebrew Supply has the 12-inch with the fittings in stock,
which is the most common one for most.
It should fit that kettle.
Right, exactly. So it should fit. If you have any questions, like I said, give Joe a call or email James or email Todd, and they'll get you set straight. But maybe think about the brew in a bag, because that seems like it might be the easiest way to go forward if you were timid about. And also, though, a lot of people swear that brewing a bag is the best introduction into all grain. For me personally, I thought the cooler system was, but prefacing or total transparency, I've never done brewing a bag. So maybe if I did it, even in our cooler system, I'd be like, oh my God, what am I doing? I should have been doing this the whole time. But anyway,
I'll say it just like my wife would. I don't like brewing a bag. I've never done it, but I don't like it.
But I don't like it. Yeah.
My wife, one of the first times my wife told me she didn't like something, she was like, yeah, I don't like that. And yeah, she said it about something else later on. And I go, wait a minute. Have you ever done that before? No, but I don't like it.
That's right.
I don't like that I don't like that vegetable. I've never had it before.
I was gonna say that sounds like my kids or my nephew the other day. He wouldn't eat corn, and my mom's like, Brian, why don't you try your corn? It's disgusting. You've never had corn. I know, but it's disgusting. I admire the confidence of a 4-year-old on a tantrum. A whole different breed. Anyway, Zane, thank you so much for submitting your question. Like I said earlier, if and when we take your submitted question on a future episode, we give you a $25 gift card to catconnection.com, courtesy of Mr. Todd Burns. So thank you guys for submitting your questions. Moving on. Question number 2 came from our buddy Joseph W., who also used the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com. Joseph wrote, your podcast is the best. I swear I'm not kissing ass when I tell you, Josh, how happy I am to have learned about kolsch. My man. My grocer carries cans of Froo. Your incessant photos of Froo worked on me. Incessant, I think, is a pejorative. I don't think that's a complimentary word. Maybe they should hire you as a North American salesman. Winky
it's
face.
Correct, though. Obsessive is correct in this
No, he
case.
said incessant.
Oh, I thought you said obsessive.
I have a speech impediment. Incessant. I brewed the Brian's kolsch. Congrats to Brian on winning the Kolsch Cup. It tasted really good and is clear and crisp for the first 2 weeks in my keg, but now in its 3rd week, it has a tiny taste of fruity notes coming out. Any idea what causes this? It's subtle in sweetness, but noticeably different than last week. What can I do in the future if I want to avoid fruitiness showing up in my kolsch? Keep on keeping on, guys. Came from Joseph. This is the question, Todd, I called you about. He had sent this on like Monday, or maybe it was over the weekend, and I asked you, is this a good one to take on the show? Because I have no idea why subtle fruity notes would appear over time. I've had off notes in my kolsch appear over time, but that was, we knew like the temperature in fermentation was probably off, and that's why all those esters were there. What do you think, Todd, about these notes coming in the 3rd week of being kegged? Do you think maybe the keg wasn't sanitized? Do you think it was the yeast kind of maturing? What could it be?
I mean, kolsch has a fruity taste to it. A lot of them do. So I don't know. It's hard to know how strong it was. Like, I mean, if I tasted a kolsch and it had kind of a fruity estery taste, it wouldn't be unexpected.
Especially if it's subtle, right? I mean, it depends.
If it's subtle, yeah.
James, what do you think? Because you've brewed the most consistently delicious kolsch I've ever had. So, like, do you think that this has something to do with fermentation and the yeast?
It could. It depends on. All of us tend to ferment our kolsch at the colder side because it produces cleaner beer. So what could be happening? It could be, it depends on a lot of factors. I mean, are you using city water? And sometimes as it conditions out, the city water can cause that to happen. Of course, it's possible that it could be more on a flawed side, like a Band-Aid taste and not fruit. But I would think that warm fermentation, as it conditions out and you cold crash it, it might show itself up. It's possible it show itself up, in a few days or a couple of weeks. But I'm with Todd. I think the kolsch should have a little bit of that. I know we definitely taste that where it's from, Cologne.
Yep.
I don't know if I would call it a flaw. You might try colder fermentation, see if that makes a difference.
If his goal is to eliminate it completely, then colder fermentation is where I would start too. And Todd, you or both y'all made a good point about it being like, y'all are about to go to Germany. I'm not jealous at all. And y'all are about to go to Cologne. And when you go from brewery to brewery, they're all kolsch and they're all in style and they're all subtly different from each other. You know that this Reisdorf down here is going to be a little bit sweeter than Froo is over here at the Dome, or you're going to have Gaffel and this and that, like Peter's kolsch, right? To me, I'm with James where Peter's kolsch is like at the top echelon.
To me, it's the best.
It's the best of the best. Where I would say Peter's kolsch, along with Froo, and Joseph was saying he's comparing, or he's having cans of Froo to compare to. Those are less on the fruity side. So if you're comparing it to those, I bet you Joseph's Froo is still in style for a kolsch. It's still probably 2 style. It's just maybe not a dead-on clone of the fruit he's been enjoying. Is that what y'all probably think is going on?
Yeah, I mean, one of the issues we have, James, and I meant to talk to you about this. We probably won't do it, but I don't know if you've noticed this, but we leave the hotel and we go by the dome, and we always end up at fruit because that's the first one you get to, right?
Yeah.
I wonder what it would,
don't hit them.
I wonder what it would taste like if we went backwards sometime, because by the time we get to the last one, I'm not sure that our taste buds are working as well as they are in the very beginning, because sometimes they're just those little bitty 7-ounce glasses, and sometimes we have more than one in each location, and they can kind of add up after a while. So I don't know. Maybe it would taste different if we did it backwards, but we're probably not.
We did it backwards.
But you know what? I think the first time, I could be wrong, you could correct me on this, but I think the first real cologne kolsch I ever had was at Peter's.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because I remember you getting me a glass. Asked the waiter for a glass.
Dang! So
I remember we took a train ride from Dusseldorf to Cologne, and that was the first time I'd ever been on a train. First time. And I couldn't believe how fast it drove. And we walked up and they served beer on the car. And so we went in there, and Todd bought me a beer, and when we stopped in Cologne, I got off, and my jaw dropped. I've never seen the cathedral, anything like that in my entire life. It was just, to me, maybe I was just dumbstruck with awe of everything. And I think that was the first kolsch I ever had. And
okay,
it was damn, it was as good as
they're so good. It is so good when you're there, and just like you said, Josh, they're all so different. That's the reason when somebody says, I tried this kolsch beer and it had this fruity flavor, and it wasn't quite what I was looking for. I'm like, well, if you go to Cologne and try, 10 different, I don't know how many breweries there are, 8 probably. There's probably more. There's probably some smaller ones off the beaten path that we haven't been to, but there's like 8 that we end up going to, and they're you're right. They're very different. Very, very different. So.
Well, very. I wouldn't stress even the word very. I mean, they're not like one's going to be like, man, that's a pale ale. That's not a kolsch. They're different enough to notice, but you can still, especially after you've consumed a bunch of kolsch, they're still in the style. Like they're not so different that it's like, oh my gosh. Because we got during Kolsch Cup, it was delicious, but they sent us like a very hop forward. I think they're using Cascade hops. Do y'all remember that? We all tried it because it was Joe's favorite, but it was Joe's favorite because it was a juicy kolsch, right? And
right.
Where they're not like that different. I would say that they are subtly different to where it's same with alt. Y'all going to Dusseldorf again. I'm not jealous. Whatever. Y'all have fun. You go to certain breweries like Todd loves Schumacher and James is Schlussel. And obviously none of them are bad. It's just Schumacher's a little bit drier, where Schlussel has a little bit more malt and sweet finish, but none of them, it's not like punch you in the face different. It's just like, oh yeah, I do see the difference.
Unless you're drinking Diebels, and then that's like,
oh good. Yeah.
Oh, I have to tell you, James, we have to go now because I broke my last kolsch glass last night.
Oh no!
What are you doing?
And then I broke one of my other favorite glasses too.
Ooh, I think I've got an extra kolsch. An extra Peter's glass.
Do you really? I was moving my keg around, and I'm sure you've all done this before. There's a delicate little kolsch glass, and you're putting your keg in there, and you go, I should set this on the floor before I try this, because I'm going to break that glass if I'm not careful. No, I'll be real careful.
Oh my gosh.
Bang. Yep.
Oh my gosh. That's why I don't bring, you know what? I left my, our friends at the Brewed Up podcast. I bought one of their glassware, and did you break that glass already, Todd? Is that all right?
Oh yeah, it's broken.
Yeah, it's gone.
18 hydrometers, 44 glasses later, and Todd's still trucking on.
44 glasses.
And you know what? I got the very last.
I broke a lot more than 48 glasses in my life.
You've probably broken more than 48 hydrometers in your life.
We always have people asking for this sticker.
And all my buddies break my glasses too.
They do.
We go through cases of kolsch, and because nothing's more delicate than a kolsch glass, except an alt glass is in second place. So we have broken.
Nothing's more delicate than a beer glass in Todd's hand. That's the.
Well, yeah, the funny Mark broke two when he was here.
I remember he told me. I remember.
And he's the most careful person I know.
2 in a row. My only folly is I take beer glasses over to my pops. Like 95% of my glasses end up over there, and 2% end up at the barn, and 3% end up in my home. And I took my Peter's Kolsch because when we went there, the one thing I love about the German breweries, and I've totally digressed from your question, Joseph, except good for you for drinking the Kolsch. But real quick, when you're there, some of the breweries sell glassware, or some of them, Peter's Kolsch was one and Fru was one, where we had our glasses. And I think Todd at Fru, you had asked, hey, how do we buy one? And the waiter's like, no worries, my friend, just take that one. And that happened at Peter's too.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Oh, did you pay?
He went like this. He went, just take it.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Well, but he was very friendly. That's just how Germans are. They're just like.
No, I got it the same way, and he wrapped it in one of their napkins.
Yes, exactly.
No.
They're never friendly when you get there. Like in Cologne, the waiters in those beer gardens, I guess they just have 10 billion tourists a year go through there, and they're always rude. And if you're real nice and you continue to be real nice, they end up being nice by the time you leave, right, James?
Because they don't. Do we tip there? I can't remember.
Well, we do, but I don't think you're supposed to.
They don't expect it, which when you do, makes it even that much better. Yeah. To wrap up Joseph's question, because I let us digress way too much, James, you would say if he's trying to eliminate fruity notes from coming out, which again we're all agreeing is natural in the style. Sure. Fermenting on the lower or lowest end of the range of your yeast will help accomplish that, correct?
Yeah, if you're using city water, maybe switch to a good brand like what my fallback if I don't have good water or an RO system is I'll use Ozarka water because it's dead on good every single time, and then try a little colder fermentation and see what happens. It should help. But and then you could also change to another style of kolsch yeast if you think it could be in that as well.
Absolutely. But I would say if it's subtle, like he's saying in here, it's subtle. Congratulations, you brewed to style. Like you probably brewed a pretty darn good kolsch. Mine, the kolsch Weizen that I hate talking about, but I always bring it up, so maybe I don't hate talking about it so much, was strong in the ester. Like it tasted like a wheat beer. So that's when I would say, oh, you had a flaw. But subtle sweetness, subtle fruitiness, that's in style, man. If you're trying to eliminate it, like James said, you can either try a different strain or doing it on the lower end of the strain you used already. There's a lot of things that you can try, but the good thing is you're just brewing kolsch, man. Keep on keeping on with brewing kolsch. So thank you, Joseph, for submitting your question. Moving on to the third question for this week's show came from our buddy Dustin, who also used the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com. Dustin wrote, here's a weird question for you gents. I currently brew in my kitchen in a home I share with my girlfriend. She loves the beer I have made so far, but she hates the smell of brewing. I mean, she really, really hates it. So much that she asked me to brew at times or on days where she plans on not being around. I want to get her more involved in brewing for me to share the hobby with her. What do you think we could do, or maybe a style we could brew that isn't as pungent as other styles? I hate to tell you, Dustin, you gotta break her up with her, man.
Yeah, you gotta let that one loose, Justin. Sorry,
you can't. I mean, I just don't see wedding bells in the future, guys.
It's not gonna work.
I do not find. I don't see how that is. So I think it's the best smell in the world. That's like somebody saying I can't stand that smell, that bakery. Smell is terrible.
We used to have an employee that didn't like the smell of beer, and they're no longer with us.
Out of context, that's way funnier than saying they retired. I like that. That's how I'm going to present it now too. Oh yeah, she didn't like the smell of brewing, and she's not with us anymore. Not that she retired and is taking care of her granddaughter, but I remember. Yeah. But I do remember that. I
wasn't even talking about that. I was talking about a different employee.
Oh, we've had multiple employees who don't like the smell of mash.
Yeah, and they're none of them are with us anymore.
That's
So-
hilarious.
Well, Lana, my production manager, she used to hate the smell of brewing, and now she loves it. So
How do you hate the
See,
smell
so
of
that
brewing?
maybe there's help. Maybe
A
she
support
can
group.
learn to like the smell of brewing, and it's salvageable. The relationship
Yeah.
is salvageable.
Well, you know what? I was going to say to Dustin, because there's so many answers. We could probably do a whole episode on styles of different smells. I would say when my dad and I brew the breakfast stout, that during that mash is the only time I think I've had my mom or my wife, when they come around, not complain either about like, oh, that's a strong smell. Like they enjoy it because of the notes it gives off with those roasted malt. Like maybe if you try doing a what wasn't the word I'm looking for? Not like pastry stout, but if you're trying to do maybe a beer that has those additives that are sweeter on the nose, right? like
yeah, the roasted malts give out good aromas.
Yeah, anything with
and
coffee.
a lot of times it can be just, when the hops are added to the boil, because that's when the aromatics really get pumped out, because it's steam's coming off the boil. So it could be in the boil where it's really causing her issues.
Oh, good point. He didn't say which part of it. I think I just assumed the mash, because that's when I've heard people complain, is during the mash. I've never had anybody complain during the boil for our brew days, but I could see how that happens. Especially, well, I say that I can't see how that happen because hops have some of my favorite smell. Like I love the smell of hops when you're adding them, but I don't know. I mean, I hate being a broken record. Never had any complaints when brewing a kolsch, Dustin. That's pretty easy on the old nose.
Anything that's light with single hop addition, has some paler malt, will be a little probably easier on the nose.
Yeah, James said it better than I did, rather than just kolsch. But yes, anything light and not a whole lot going on. Todd, you brew, your room there, you don't have a vented hood. So when people come into actually, neither one of y'all do, because headquarters won't have one either. What is the style maybe you brewed that got the most like, oh, are y'all brewing? Like complaints or noticeable smells? Like, can you think of one off the top of your head, Todd, that was more pungent?
No, I would never let anybody in my barn that didn't like the smell.
This is that question.
Todd's very intent on Dustin find a new girlfriend. Dustin, you find a new girlfriend who appreciates you. You're a king, Dustin. You're a king.
Yeah, what did she say about your smell, Justin?
Yeah. Well, what are her hobbies, Dustin? What are her hobbies? Let's write into a podcast about her hobbies and go, oh, my girlfriend, she's all into makeup and stuff. Oh, I hate the smell of it. I don't know.
I would say this. I mean, if it really is an issue, hopefully you've got a kitchen window next to the stove. You can just stick a box fan or something in there that can move the air out. Maybe that'll help.
Well, and his girlfriend almost, it seems they're probably very loving. I'm sure she's happy. I'm sure she's great.
That seems like a lot of trouble.
Oh, no, but no, the solution's almost presented itself when she just has him brewing on days she's not around. They're okay. Yeah. There you go. If you're trying to get her more involved, you can't force her, right? Like you what's the saying about a horse?
Like he's cooking liver and onions in the kitchen,
God, I love the smell of liver and onions cooking.
I do too. That's what I was laughing.
Not me. Ooh,
you don't?
No.
I love liver and onions.
That's our curry in the kitchen.
Oh, I love the smell of curry.
Oh, me too. I love curry.
That's hilarious. Yeah. I would say, man, this is one I'd love for listener feedback for a future episode. If y'all can think of a style that is less pungent, because Todd's rule is just you're cut out of my life. Todd does not stop he doesn't care what you could have known him for however many years. If you can't put up with it, you're just not welcome on brew day.
I just can't abide by it. Yeah.
That's good. That's a Texas way of answering the question.
Yeah, if you don't love me at my brew day, then you can't have me.
I can't abide by it, man.
Can't abide by it. So I would love this is a great question for listener feedback. You can always email it to Joshua at homebrewhappyhour.com or leave a voicemail or text message to 305-6107. Let's help Dustin in his relationship out. And Dustin, if you need an armchair therapist, I'm always here for y'all. I can I can do a green screen background to make it look like I'm in a therapist office if you want to make me your couples counselor and tell your girlfriend, I think you have some deeper issues going on. You need to brew, you need to brew with him more. You need to force yourself to get over the smell. It's what do they do like with kids with peanut allergies? They force the peanuts on them, right? To get them over the allergy. Like if you catch it young enough in a kid,
Really?
I believe if it's caught young enough, exposure is enough to get them over the allergy over time. So we need to just do immersive exposure on Dustin's girlfriend with brewing. You need to increase your brew days and brew on. It doesn't matter if she's there or not. Just keep on brewing. And also don't take my relationship advice because.
So you're telling Justin that she's allergic to peanuts to give her peanuts? I don't understand.
No, I don't know what I'm saying anyway. I've had one girlfriend in my life and I ended up marrying her. Don't listen to my relationship advice. I don't have any to offer.
Best decision
that's a pretty
you
good
ever
track
made,
record.
too. Yeah. That was a damn good decision.
I definitely can't say that.
I'm bad.
I can't say that. I can't say that for her.
I know.
But it was a damn good decision on your part.
I know. One of us is batting 1,000 and it's not her, dummy. Anyway, Dustin, thank you so much for submitting your question. Moving on to our fourth and final question for this week's show came from Finn, who also used the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com. Finn wrote, Joshua and Co. Great job every week making my favorite podcast. You provide a good balance of information and entertainment and make my jobs more enjoyable. My question is about keeping beer lines as cool as possible when they're going up a tower. I think it's understood that any temperature loss between fridge and inside the tower will lead to foaming, correct? Do you recommend insulation wrap on each beer line to help fight temperature drop? You seem to have a lot of experience with towers, so I'd like to know what's the most common way you sell them to customers building kegerators. Thanks again for your help and what you do. I want to go back to the first part where he said it makes his jobs more enjoyable. Finn, I'll give you another extra $1. I'll give you, no, you're already getting a gift card. If you go write that in the iTunes review, it's to counter the guy who said we ruin his jods, because that still irks me. So if we had one that said my jods are better because of y'all's podcast, it would combat the my jod was worse because of your podcast guy. And that would just make me happy to have that balance, yin and yang. To his actual question, though, this is another one where, Todd, you did a video on foam, and you did a product showcase video on that tower cooler that you sell at keconnection.com. So I'm going to kick it to you first. What do you think about keeping temperature drop not an issue on a tower kegerator?
Okay. I'm going to give you a two-part answer. First, yeah, you can shoot air up into the tower, have a fan. I have a fan in my kegerator. And that certainly helps because then you're circulating air and you're keeping that beer line the same temperature. Most towers are always insulated, or every one that we build has insulation in the tower. The lines themselves are not individually insulated; it's just insulated around the tower. If you're not circulating air, I will say it's no different than a shank, and you're going to have this on the end at the shank as well. At some point, the shank, the faucet is going to warm up, and you're going to get a little foam when you first serve if you have not served out of it for a while. And some of the ways to combat this, and I know he's talking about towers, but we tell people all the time on shanks, buy longer shanks, and they'll transfer more cold to the end of the faucet. But insulation absolutely will help. Fan works much better because you're actually keeping them cold. The problem with insulation is that insulation works great if you're serving beer out of it. If you're not serving beer out of it and you come up, and most people at home are not, it's not like you're serving beer all day. You get home from work and you have a beer, right? So when you pour that first beer, you're going to get a little spurt of foam. And that's because of two reasons. One is because stuff is warmed up and the beer has warmed up in the small shank, even that's in a tower, and the hose that's in the tower. You're going to get a little spurt of foam from that. You're also going to often get a little spurt of foam because what happens is when you've let it sit for a long time, the CO2 is actually broken out of solution in the line, and you'll have little pockets of CO2, little air bubbles. And when you pour that, you're going to get a spurt of foam. I think the best solution for that is to not worry about it. Just what I do is when I get home and I'm going to pour a beer the first time that night, I have a little glass that sits there, and I start to pour the beer, and it's kind of weird. A lot of times it'll come out fairly good, and then it'll poof, and you'll get a huge thing of foam, and then it's good again. It's probably not but an ounce or two of beer, although it will often look like a lot more because it's a lot of foam. But you pour that ounce, 2 ounces, 3 ounces of beer, depending on the size of your beer lines out. You get past that little shot, and then it pours fine the rest of the night. So I think you definitely want to insulate. It's great to have circulation, but also no matter what you do, you're going to get that, and don't be overly worried about it.
That is the key. The whole relax, don't worry, have your home brew. I will say having the X1s installed has helped me in regards to that first pour, because I can basically kill the whole flow to a trickle for the first pour to get that out of it without wasting any, because I'm that cheap. I don't want to even waste the first pour. And then we can open it up as wide as we want to after that first pour, once it's kind of the temperature is regulated again. But like you said, Todd, I don't know of anyone a home brewer, not a prosumer, not a commercial bar that is pouring and pouring and pouring. I don't know of any home brewer that doesn't have that issue right at first, right? I mean, all of us have that experience.
Yeah, I mean, talk about wasting beer. You should have seen me trying to carbonate all these kegs last night. The problem was, it's not a problem, it's a good thing. Several of them had quite a bit of yeast at the bottom, and I had to suck that yeast out. Well, I was using that the party faucet, the good one, the C. and Becker one, and I kept having to actually take the whole thing apart and clean it out because it was full of yeast. But what that did was it got all that off the bottom. That's what happens. It falls to the bottom. I was real careful lifting them out, and then I got really clear beer after that. So, I mean, you're going to run into stuff like that, and you just have to deal with it, and it's not that big of a deal.
That's one of the videos we're filming this week while I'm up there, is using a beer gun. Setting it up, configuring it. That was one of the most requested videos that we've had before, because people, I mean, I think the good thing is we've sold a ton of them, and I'm not even being hyperbolic when I say a ton. We've sold maybe not tens of thousands. We've sold a lot of units. A lot of units have been sold, and it's very straightforward on using it. But I think people, the application, I think people don't realize just how versatile it can be. Like with forced carbon beer, that's the most brain, blowing thing that I've seen it used for, because it allows you to, in real time, test it.
Yeah, I tested at 40 PSI.
Exactly. That's incredible.
James, I hate to interrupt the podcast, but one thing for listeners, if you're using one of those and you lose the big O-ring, it won't leak if you tighten it tight enough.
Really?
You have to tighten it really, really tight. James, could you give me a big O-ring before we do that video? Because I lost that last night.
Yeah, we've got hundreds. No problem.
I don't know how I could lose it. I looked everywhere for it, but it's gone.
Yeah, it's a thin O-ring too.
Yeah.
In fact,
you had been drinking, to be fair.
I drank from 7 kegs last night, and some of them I had to test quite a bit. So
yeah, of course you did. Of course, yeah, it's just good.
No, I mean, I just couldn't get the carbonation right.
Yeah.
Come on.
Come on.
I'm going to work on it again tonight. Don't y'all worry. It'll be ready.
Yeah, it'll be ready by the time I do. Good. You're so caring. I will say, Finn, obviously, the more insulation, I mean, the better. It's not like you can over insulate the tower or whatever, but like Todd's saying, even with increased insulation on your beer lines, you're still probably going to have that first pour foam that I would just say all homebrewers experience. And he didn't tell me what kind of faucets he's using, but you can either do like what Todd said, which Todd has the V10s, and he still, though, will keep that glass just for the first. And when he says first pour, you're not doing a full. I mean, it's a taster is what your glass is that you have there.
No, that's what I said. I'm totally taking 1 to 3 ounces out, depending on how much air has built up, how much CO2 gas is actually built up in the top of the line.
Right. And I'll add to the question to ask this, because you have both iterations, Todd, you have a keezer and you have a kegerator. Do you find there to be more temperature drop or temperature rise issues, I guess, on the tower kegerator than you do your keezer? Since
I've got a fan in mine, so I don't have it works pretty good.
And so that video we did on the tower cooler fan, you would say, hey, that's a worthy investment for people with tower kegerators?
Yeah. If I wouldn't put a tower in personally, you don't have to have one. And like I said, people do it all the time without them, but I wouldn't personally have a kegerator without that little fan in there. I think it works great.
Well, now I got to buy 2 of them when I come up there. We don't have
you don't have one?
We don't. My dad and I have never used them. If those who are listening, he gave me the L loser on his forehead sign, 1988 called Todd. It's not funny anymore. But anyways, Finn, I don't really have a lot more to add to that, guys, except that it is a part of it. But but like Todd said, between getting maybe the fan and a tester for an ounce pour, and then life will be good. My dad and I, we never had the fan, but before he has people over for parties or whatever, we do that. We pour from each one beforehand, right?
And every you keep saying homebrewers, but every bar has the same issue.
Oh yeah. I just meant. Yeah, I mean you're right. For first pour
I've ever been to,
pardon me,
I've seen them do that.
Yeah. And unfortunately, some bars just have bad etiquette with pouring. Anyway, even their 50th pour, 500th pour, you see them holding the glass and just pouring, letting it overflow until the volume gets up to a certain way. And then,
oh God, it drives me crazy to watch that. I don't have to tell you that. I just absolutely, I want to jump over the counter and put a flow control faucet in.
But those are expensive.
Yeah,
not like that wasted beer.
Exactly. Right? That's the point I was trying to make. They'll waste a half a keg of beer to save $75 on a faucet. It just doesn't make sense.
Isn't it ridiculous? But anyways, that's all I've got for this week's show, guys. I appreciate y'all's time. Again, I'm gonna be up there with some child laborers who we can put to work. Looking forward to them. Maybe not up there, Todd, but at the ranch. Maybe they can, help you with the apartment building. Like, can they do electrical? Those little tiny fingers with electrical lines.
They're going to be with my wife. She'll keep them busy.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh God, I really hope she passes on some of her cooking. Like, if she wants to teach them how to cook some of her dishes that she makes for us for dinner, I'd be I'll bring them up every week. Every time I come up.
My wife has been buying toys. I have the storage area, the lockers where I put all the stuff in lockers.
Yeah.
Half the lockers now are full of toys for your kids to play with when they're here, and they haven't been here for like a year.
It's been a year.
So I'm going to see how much of that I can send them home with.
Oh no,
as a gift.
That's hilarious. Well, anyways, I'll see y'all guys soon. I appreciate y'all doing the show with me a day early, so I wouldn't have to edit it on my laptop while I was up there. So I'll see you guys soon.
All right, thanks.
See ya.
And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you would like us to discuss on a future episode, you can go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or now you can call or text them in by using 325-305-6107. If you're wanting to take your brewing to the next level, go check out the sweet new Herm system available now at browtog.com, BRAUTAG.com, or go directly to kekonnection.com/browtog and take advantage of the incredible introductory offer going on for a limited time. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thank you for listening.